You're still watching TVC News Breakfast Saturday, and now we're moving on to a very interesting conversation. Now, the recent ban on sachet and small container alcoholic beverages by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control has continued to generate reactions across the country. Now, according to the agency, the widespread availability of high alcohol content drinks in sachets and small containers has made alcohol cheap, right? Easily accessible and easy to conceal. Now, to address these concerns, the agency has commenced the enforcement of a ban on the production and sale of alcoholic beverages packaged in sachets and in small plastics or glass bottles below 200 milliliters. Now, NAFDAC has also clarified that this action does not involve the closure of any alcohol-producing company. Now, joining us for this conversation is the CEO of Compassionate Care Recovery Initiative, Dr. Dokun Adedeji. Welcome to CBC Breakfast Saturday, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. So my first question to you, sir, would be, what was your first reaction now, being in this industry, I mean, doing what you do for the longest time? What was your first reaction when you heard about the ban on this sachets and small bottles?
To be quite honest with you, I think it's even late. It should have been a long time ago.
Okay.
I salute it and I support it. And there's something some of us have been clamoring for. And then probably leading us to have an alcohol policy. We don't have an alcohol policy in Nigeria. I think this is the right step to take.
But there are a lot of people that will not sound the way you're sounding this morning because they have developed some kind of taste, you know, for these alcoholic beverages, especially the ones in sachets. I live on the mainland, and when you want to go to work in the morning, you see a whole lot of people with sachets and all that.
Absolutely.
And it's cheap too. With all this, don't you think there will be a backlash?
There's already.
There's already a backlash.
The backlash comes from those who take it out of ignorance. You know, there's something that people do. You like to satiate yourself and also think you reduce your pressure or the problem you have by taking all those kind of things. But you see, if you look at the long-term damage, it does. I wish you see, when you see the sachet, I wish I could bring them on your studio. You will see them like branded. You will see the damage. The sachet, even the ones that are called bitters, have as much as 42% alcohol in those sachets. And because they're cheap and it makes it affordable for everyone and you get it everywhere, it's extremely dangerous. Research has shown that alcohol is extremely dangerous. And so we can win people of the attraction of using the alcohol by being open with the facts and let people make informed choices. I'm not saying people should not drink. They have a right to drink. It's their fundamental right. But you can't make it accessible to anyone. Look, I wish you see kids who buy it. They take it to school, put it in their pockets. 8, 9-year-old. Should that be the time we begin to encourage these people to destroy themselves? You know, at that age, their kidneys, the liver, they're not fully formed. Even the brain is not fully formed at about 25. And so when you begin to take those kind of things, it has a central nervous effect and it begins to destroy the brain. And it's been found from studies done by Oxford and Yale and Cambridge University as recent as 3 years ago that it is not even the content, it's not the volume, it is the fact that you take alcohol at all and increases the rate of dementia and plus 60 other conditions. Why should we open our people to such destruction when we have no backup to take up the complications that come?
NAFDAC did a survey that
Yeah.
says that 54% of minors in Nigeria today take this sachet alcoholic drink in Nigeria. Are you worried by this development? Some have argued that this is the way for the poor people to just relax and enjoy themselves.
You know, what bothers me is the short-termism of our thinking. Oh, I want to relax, I take it. What happens in 10 years' time? Do you imagine the consequences? And then if 50% of minors take it, I can tell you that's an underestimate. I can tell you for real, from my personal experience and what I see. Studies were done by a Nigerian called Davis Adeloye, in which they found that the harmful effect and the drug use from 1990 to 2018 is increasing and is huge. And so you can imagine, oh, I enjoy myself today. What happens to my kidneys tomorrow? What happens to my liver tomorrow? Will you be able to, you say poor people use it to, would they be able to manage?
That's been the argument.
It's the argument, but again, it comes from the fact that that is the element of understanding. So when you do things like this, you increase the understanding. They begin to have an introspection. Should this be something that I get indulged in when I pay the consequences later? That is what I think is important.
Okay. I mean, I've heard you, and I mean, I like the fact that you're talking from a point of, I mean, knowledge, and I mean, you've seen these things firsthand, which is understandable. Now, the question now is, would you say banning it literally solves the problem? Because you did speak about young kids going to buy these things and actually putting in their pocket and taking it to school. Now, is the issue there about the fact that these things actually, I mean, exist in that quantity? Or are we to look more closely to the people selling it to people of that age? Because, for instance, now in other countries, before you can even purchase alcohol, you have to show an ID card. If they actually look at you and it seems like you're not of age. So should we not be looking, because you did mention about the fact that we don't have alcohol policies. So now what policies are practical that we can use to curb the issues?
I think this is the first step to take. Take it off the street, make it unavailable. And then, you know, the problem with us in this country, we never sit down to interrogate and introspect into what causes things and what you should do. The thing is draconian, you just do this. The ban, I think, in this case is logical. And then what we can then sit down to do is, how do we, you know, in Nigeria, regulation is difficult. To say, oh, if you are 18, if you are less than 18, don't buy. Excuse me, the woman who sells a jota, she doesn't care your age. And you know, these things are, the availability makes it easy for anyone to sell an undercover. I understand what people feel about the ban. Is drastic, is whatever, but that is the first option open to these people. And then we can all sit down and begin to appreciate what do we need to do. And then we can drive the policy from there. You know, because if you say, make it available, young people will buy it, even if you increase the price, because it is the next thing they have that they can use. So I think it's just a matter of all sitting down and truly interrogating it, not looking at the profit that comes with the manufacturer. You see, what NAFDAC said, we haven't banned alcohol or the manufacture of it, but we banned the sachet. You see, the manufacturer will want to say, oh, when I see other products like beverages and how they do it, that is food. This is not food. And we also know the effect of alcohol on the body. Sachet beverages won't have that negative effect on you. So the thing is, and this thing has been debated for over years, when people should have made an alternative interest in what they do. But I know they know that in Nigeria you make a ban and in another 2 months nothing happens and then you continue.
Yes.
I remember one time I spoke on the TV, the governor of Lagos State had to say to all those selling around schools to stop selling. You find that these people, you see them in the areas where you see the low people, and then they make this. Look, if we don't do something, then we get them to do something else to survive.
Yeah, so some people will say, take a little alcohol for your stomach's sake. It's in the Bible.
You know? Are you a pastor?
I look like one, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you do.
All right. In a country where regulation is a major problem, and we are not just talking about alcohol and all that, almost all aspects, you know, of our daily life, we have problems regulating. Put it side by side, a country like the United States of America, where even taxi drivers are regulated, everybody is regulated. Don't you think we should fashion out our own kind of regulation and implement? For example, the children that go to school with sachets of alcoholic beverages, if all schools do inspection, you know, they do searches and all that before they admit the children into school, that could help. Apart from that, what role does education of the people what role will it play in the success of this? I am adverse to the total ban just like that. I think it should be taken out gradually. I may be wrong because I know that the backlash is going to be really severe.
I understand your point, but let me tell you something. This is a discussion that's been going on for some time, and they had reached agreement and they've come to conclusion.
But they did not engage the users. That's the thing. They had been discussing this in boardrooms and in symposium, in workshops and all that. But the people that use it,
that affects directly.
the people that abuse it, I don't have a problem with the use. It is the abuse of it that is a problem. And those guys are not engaged.
I understand your point, and that's why I say that's what you're doing. And if we can, in this country, we don't do enough advocacy on anything.
Thank you, sir.
And so I agree with you. But you see, the challenge is, I keep telling people the same thing about substance use, NDLEA. People say NDLEA should be able to do. How much will NDLEA do? How much personnel do they need to regulate and then to get to? But the thing we all must begin, we must understand something. This is a collective responsibility. If you decide you live here, you go to your school, your PTA, you go to your church, you go to your mosque, we begin to talk about these things. But I don't want these things talked about in a spiritual context. Then people begin to have aversion, and that's not it. And I tell people, don't begin to judge who drinks or whoever on the choices they make. Make them understand that this is dangerous for these reasons. Then they can make informed choices. I agree with you completely. But that's what you're doing here. And that's what we all need to begin to do. I'm sure NAFDAC has sat down and said, look, what is the next thing to do? And that's where the ban came. And as you said, nobody is banning alcohol. Look, there was a survey done by UNODC in 2017 about global prevalence rate of use of drugs. I don't think people know that alcohol is a drug.
Oh, yeah.
It is a drug because it has a CNS effect, central nervous effect. And when you look at the classification, the first one is socially acceptable drugs, the category in which alcohol and tobacco fall. But people, even when UNODC did the survey, they did not survey people taking alcohol because across the world, it's probably the most used drug. But again, why? Because of economic benefits. So UNO cannot even ban it. If they're going to ban it, how do they ban it? They don't do sachet there. Are they going to ban the bottles or something?
This argument has been on since 2018.
Yes.
And they had a moratorium of 5 years, which elapsed in, I think, in 2024. So they had another grace period of a year.
Yeah.
And that's why NAFDAC came out in December 2025 that they are going ahead with this ban.
Right.
Now, we had a protest January 23rd this year from the members of the Distillers and Blenders Association in collaboration with the Trade Union Congress, saying that with this outright ban, it's going to create a job loss of about 5.5 million of Nigerians will be out of jobs. So what do you make of this development? If this outright ban will make young Nigerians or people who are in job to lose their jobs?
You see, for me, and I had a discussion with some of them, that is blackmail. If you have 5 years to discuss a moratorium, another year given, when they were importing the machinery, they could have curtailed. I'm not saying, I sympathize if truly that number of people will lose their job. Are they saying to me, those are people working on the sachet lines or working in the factory? So they need to be very clear. You see, the thing is this, there is no transparency in this discussion with these manufacturers, and then, how many of them will allow their kids drink it if they think it's the right thing to do? I've told you the bitters, I don't want to mention, 42% that go for crying out loud. And then, is that business?
Well, when we talk about the percentage of alcohol in these things,
yes,
we also have such percentages in bottled alcoholic beverages.
You know, and that comes to what I said. They haven't banned alcohol. You can make your choices if you go and buy a bottle. But a 10-year-old cannot buy a bottled drink.
So this is what I'm going to say. So on that particular point, so I remember when initially, we're trying to stabilize the economy when it came to, and then food prices went up, right? And everything went up. And I remember one pack of pasta literally started going for maybe about 1,000 naira. And I remember going to the market and seeing pasta being tied in bunches. So they will open the packets and bring it out and repackage it. Yeah. And they were selling it like that, but it was one pasta. So I'm thinking, okay, the small sachets have been banned and now we have the bottle. So one person, the same trader, can buy that bottle and redistribute it into different smaller packages. But not official. They can even sell it by the shot. Is my point. No, my point is so I'm saying that she wipes that. We're not thinking about all of this. Nigerians are smart. We always find a way to go around things. And that's why I'll still come back to the fine. That was the first thing you think was the right thing to do at that point. But Nigerians will find their ways around this.
True.
Now, we are not saying let's ensure that this age below does not buy it. We are saying let's first just remove this one. Okay, the woman now decides to go and buy the bottle and says, okay, fine, you buy by cup. We are come and drink. They didn't say we are not packaging it. Just come and take your shot and go. Then my problem is, what can we do? What are the policies? What is the next thing that we can put in place to actually make the use? So it's not the availability, now the accessibility and the use. What policies can we make to make that? For instance, in the US and in other countries, there are certain places you go to buy alcohol. Can we look into that? And what policies like that can actually help us?
You know, the challenge is what you just said, the basic Nigerian instinct. That is a huge challenge when it comes to regulation. You'll find out that some people will sell, even with this ban, some people will sell it under the table. And then others can. And I agree with what you said. But you know, my thought is, let us now sit down. I know this has not been done before. We increase awareness, and then we then say to people, these are the dangers involved. So when it comes, since we are not making sachet, and we're making bottles, we then put labels on them, and then we then say, these are the areas in which you can get alcohol and you can use. But the challenge is this country about regulation. How would you police that? You are going to create another avenue of corruption for people. Because I can tell you for free that codeine that's been banned is still being sold. But you just need to know where to get it. You see, but that's why I come back to what I said. All these things speak to collectivity of responsibility. How much do we care about one another? You spoke about the US. You can't do things because each person, and then you make a choice as to what you want to do, and then you bear the consequences of the choice you make. Those are the things, but a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old cannot make those kind of choices. I think it leaves room now for us to sit down. NAFDAC can then say, stakeholders, let's sit down. What next? Manufacturer, you said it, what then can we do? You may say, oh, that is an afterthought. But the first thing to do first, take it away from accessibility and affordability.
I'm thinking I'm supposed to be asking questions, but the way the way this thing is going,
let's debate it.
Let us
talk about it.
I believe seriously that regulation and mass education will go a long way in getting this thing solved. And these are two areas where we are weak as a country. Can we consciously decide that regulation has to improve? Mass education, now it's simpler with social media. And yet we are not, and we have a government agency that is saddled with that kind of responsibility. Can't we?
Which agency? You mean NAFDAC or NOA?
NOA. Oh boy.
Are you saying that they're not doing a good job?
No.
Look, I sit down sometimes and I wonder how we think in this country. NOA goes to CNN and is playing people dancing.
But they're not doing some sensitization at the moment, especially with this administration.
No, you know, many times it delves into the political to make noise.
That's exactly my thinking.
NOA does not seem to understand his responsibility. Where is it? Look, the basic thing to deal with in this country is the value system. If we deal with the value system and what used to be important when we were growing up, things will naturally change in line with what you're saying. But what do they talk about? Don't spray money. Don't spray. Since they said, how many people have they caught again? They just pick people at random to showcase that they're doing something. I don't buy what they're doing. And I said to the former director general, who was my friend, I forgot his name now, and these people go and sit, and people are put in those positions for political purposes.
But we can talk about this this current DG that is doing a good job concerning some sensitization. That's Larry Issa-Onilu.
No, you see, for me, I look at this, what is the good job? Because we are on CNN and we are singing and unity. You see, you can do sophistry, you can talk, but what are the elements of the facts on ground?
Let me quickly get your reaction on this. There's this data that says that 15 million Nigerians under the age of 15 to about 64 are into drug abuse.
Yes.
It's quite alarming at this time. So if we're talking about banning sachet alcoholic drinks, and the issue of drug abuse is also there from age 15 to 64.
Look, you know, I will shock you. You know, the thing is that statistics came from the last work done in 2017, published in 2018. What has happened in the interim? By 2020, when Mr. Oliver Stopp, the country director of UNODC, spoke at World, it had gone to 20 to 25 million Nigerians who had used drugs. And they said by 2030, across Africa, the increase will have been by 40%. You know, the challenge is, and they said 15 to 64. I have seen 10-year-olds who were doing marijuana. I went to a town, they wanted me to help them set up a rehab center. They brought the boys to me, 10, 4 of them. And so if I take you to some areas in Lagos, joints where they buy, you see 8, 9. You see families who live there. The thing is, that's what I keep saying. If we don't go back to fundamentals, which is what I think, we'll just be joking. We'll just be talking, making noise, and it's festering underground. And that's why, you know, I've said something to the media. When we were growing up in this country, newspapers have science desk. They have various desks, and then they publish this kind, they talk about it, the education desk. Who does that anymore? Even if you do, who reads it? On social media, do people read things that are fundamentally objective, that are fundamentally educative? No, they glamour. Look at the one about shop. Oh, no, sorry. Look at that's what is trending.
So that means that the packaging of our messages now has to reflect the realities.
Absolutely. You see how it's intertwining. All the things we need to do as a collective. What is the role of the media in this campaign? How do we use the element of your in my face to get people to have a better...
And that's why we are here to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's our role, to ensure we sensitize Nigerians.
But the thing
and the dangers inherent in this particular
is, how many people watch TVC, how many people have light?
You can go back and watch on YouTube. All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I just want to see your Compassionate Care Recovery Initiative, Dr. Dotun Adedeji.
Dokun
Adedeji.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
My
joining us.
pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. Thank you.